Hi and hello, and welcome to episode 10 of my author commentaries. This week we'll be taking a closer look at chapter 6 of Price World, which is entitled The Sandcastle. Some breaking news just in for you. I just typed the end on my second Price World novel yesterday afternoon. Yes! So there's still lots of proofreading and adjustments to be made to the initial novel that I've written. Thank you to everyone who sent their congratulations via my social media post yesterday when I announced the milestone event. But more on that later. Oh, and yes, there will be spoilers, so save this video and come back later if you haven't read chapter 6 yet and you don't want to know what happens. For now, let's dive straight into chapter 6 of my debut novel Price World, where we meet the villain of the story, Mahat, a shrewd and tough Arab oil baron planning to steal Dr. Price's fusion energy invention for himself. We also meet briefly the two businessmen from the Hyde Park meeting with the Watcher in chapter 1. Adam and Mate return from their adventure in space, and Heather Lightly investigates the secret barn entrance to Adam's base. I'd like to read this passage from chapter 6, which tells us why Mahat's base is called the Sandcastle. The compound consisted of several outer buildings, which housed ancillary staff, his own private security forces barracks and storage. As you moved inward, each concentric layer was a story higher, resulting in the centre tower with its 360-degree floor-to-ceiling window at the top, looking much like a child might draw a sandcastle. It was a nickname that had caught on, and one Mahat approved of. After all, he was a king, wasn't he? Great power and wealth at his fingertips, courted by the most powerful world leaders, from presidents to royalty. Yes, the Sandcastle was an apt name. I liked the idea that the name of something as non-violent as possible could be applied to a place of such villainy and evil. We return to the Sandcastle in later chapters, and let's just say things don't go too well for Adam, Mate or Heather in these encounters. Now it's time for your questions for the author. Don't forget you can submit a question for me via my website, priceworldnovel.co.uk, or in the comments of this video, or any social media channel you find me on. This week a question about what program I use to make these videos. So I start with typing a rough script out in Apple Pages, noting where I intend to make breaks in the filming and change the camera angle. Once I'm happy with the script, including marking any pages in the novel I might read from, and have collated the questions for the author and feedback I'm going to include in the video, I set up some basic room lamps and open QuickTime on my MacBook ready to start recording. I've learned that it's best to keep individual clips to under a minute for upload into Canva Pro, where I stitch the takes together, adjust the timings of each clip for a smooth transition, before applying screen graphics and music or sounds to enhance the video. I then use Canva to resize a copy for YouTube and upload that to my YouTube channel. The whole process usually takes an afternoon, depending on how many false starts and retakes I have to do. I hope that helps you with your own author commentaries. Now it's feedback time. And this week's feedback was spoken to me in a conversation with someone I met who had purchased a copy of Price World. It was an absolute thrill to receive feedback in person, and I'm so grateful for their purchasing my novel and the many kind things they had to say about my debut book. One question they did have, though, was, when was it going to be made into a film? Of course, it only takes the right person to read it or discover my novel, and who knows, Price World could be, I think, a fantastic film, and so did they. Coming back to Earth for a moment, I think it's more likely that someone may be interested in serialising my novel by way of a graphic novel. You know how to contact me. Well, that's about all we have time for this week. Next week's episode will be delayed as I'm travelling to visit family in Great Chisel, one of the settings for the book, of course. And I hope to share more news on the second novel with you all then as well. We'll also discuss Chapter 7 of Price World, entitled One Scoop or Two. It's another play on words as Heather finally gets her story. Finally, a warm hello and a thank you to the surgeons and recovery nurses of the King's Treatment Centre Derby Hospital for their care and attention during a day with them the week before last. Until then, remember, keep writing. Bye.